Hey, it's been a while. First off, I just want to say sorry for not uploading this sooner. I meant to get this video out way earlier, but life had other plans. There was a dental surgery.
What are you doing? Why are you laughing? That's just anesthesia, really.
Which, by the way, went really good. Until the anesthesia wore off and I caught myself on video laughing like a maniac while trying to talk with half a face. And if that wasn't enough, I also got hit with food poisoning a week later. So yeah, this one's been a long time coming. But we're back now, and it's time to talk real about the Australian convention scene. No fluff, no sugar, no coding, just raw numbers, honest reviews, and what actually goes down behind the artist table. Let's get into it. First up was Game Expo Melbourne, March 23rd to 24th. This one's very gamer focused, streamers, esports, indie devs, that kind of crowd. I was lucky to be a sponsored guest since I did the official merch art, so no booth fee, no registration costs, just transport and food. Saturday was strong. I made $1,266, but then Sunday dipped really hard with $546.86. That gave me a weekend total of $1,812.86 gross. Overheads. So for the overheads it wasn't much, but $56.75 for rideshare on Sunday morning, $31.30 on food because we prepared most of it at home, $95.85 for the Uber home. I wasn't dragging 4 suitcases on a train at night. And while the survey results later on might show that Game Expo scored on the lower end for event satisfaction, I just want to say this really clearly. There's definitely leniency here because it's a small and still growing con. The potential is huge, and I genuinely believe that it could become a major player if it continues evolving. Plus, the Game Expo staff are actually really responsive. They listen to artist feedback and really do their best to apply what they are told. That's rare, and something I seriously respect. Would I recommend it? If you're a Melbourne local or have a gaming heavy product line, then absolutely. For interstate artists, maybe hold off until it scales. But this show has great bones and could become a must-do if it keeps growing. Now let's talk about Supanova Melbourne, which I did the very next weekend, and yeah, this one was a bit underwhelming. I made a total of $1,726.30, but that doesn't tell the full story. Let's start with the venue showgrounds. Look, a lot of artists will tell you, and I'll back them 100%. It'd be a much stronger show if it were at the Melbourne Convention Centre. Accessibility at the showground is a nightmare, whether you're driving or relying on public transport. For example, my partner was sent on a wild goose chase by security, bounced between 3 different gates before she finally had enough, stood her ground, and thankfully one of my friends was able to come and manage to help her in after 10 minutes. That just doesn't happen at Convention Centre, where you take one train to the Southern Cross and you're 5 minutes from the entrance. With the showgrounds, you have to take a train to Flinders Street, then transfer to another train out to the showgrounds. And the kicker, the last train leaves at 6:06 PM. That gives attendees barely 5 minutes. 5 minutes to leave after a full day of shopping, which completely kills the crowd energy in the final hour of the day. On top of that, Supanova split the con across 2 separate buildings. All the retail vendors were in the main hall, and us artists, we were shoved in a giant tent. 450 artists, in fact. Yeah, 450. Oversaturation doesn't even begin to cover it. To make matters worse, the entry point for patrons was in the retail building. So by the time people wandered into the artist tent, most had already blown their budget. I talked to heaps of artists on the weekend, and the vibe was the same across the board. This setup made it really hard to get consistent sales. Many of us agreed, unless the venue changes, most of us aren't going to come back. And I'm not exaggerating. I've done this con for 8 years, and I've only had 1 good year at the Melbourne Supanova. The rest, pretty much the same frustrating story. Now let's talk about numbers. When the graphics come up, you could probably see that my numbers are very underwhelming, especially for a big name con such as Supanova. My Saturday only ended up being $722.35 for my total earnings for the day. But then on Sunday, I had a really surprising $1,004.15. But then here's where the expenses eat up most of that, which the booth was $412. Food was $305 because we didn't really bother much on meal prepping, and because the food that was there was really expensive. But the rideshare all up, just to get there because we wanted to be there on time and in a reliable time frame, the rideshare for myself and my partner all up cost $418.99. So the gross overall was $1,726.30 from the whole weekend, but the overheads all up was $1,135.99, netting my profit to be $590.31. And just to let you know as well, I did Perth Oz Comic Con as well, where my partner actually went for me because I had an operation that weekend and I couldn't exactly go, but I really wanted the money. So my partner was kind enough to actually go to Perth for me and do Perth Oz Comic Con, which I didn't really bother getting the numbers for that because doing 3 cons in one video is just, for me, too much. But for the survey results, I actually went out to the artists in Artist Alley on their Facebook groups and all that to actually ask them to fill our survey, and here are the results. Clearly a lot of artists have their thoughts on the current convention scene in Australia, as we hear from other countries but never our little island from down under. Here's what the data show. 50% of artists are full-time freelancers who include conventions in their income. Around a third rely on cons completely to earn a living. The rest are hobbyists doing it as a side gig or for an extra bit of cash. Most came from Victoria and Western Australia, with a few from New South Wales and South Australia. The events attended, being the highest turnout, was Supanova Melbourne. Then the second highest turnout is Perth Oz Comic Con, and then Game Expo having the least artists participating. Most people had made between $2,000 to $5,000. A few made under $2,000, showing just how much placement, product and luck play into success. Supanova Melbourne got a 5.8 out of 10. The complaints included extreme humidity, warping products like stickers, difficult transport, and table placements that tanked the foot traffic. Game Expo. It scored low overall, but again, a lot of that was due to growing pains. And as I said earlier, the staff are really proactive, and the event still has a ton of long-term potential. Perth Oz Comic Con did surprisingly well, but artists noted that better product offerings and being some of the only comic artists at a comic convention helped them stand out and earn big. This led to a big question. Why are comic artists being waitlisted at Comic Cons while unrelated genres flood the artist alley? Other common issues people mentioned for all cons is the cost of living making buyers pickier, accessibility flaws across venues, and a desperate need for better curation to suit event themes. So yeah, the takeaway is clear. You can earn well, but it's all down to preparation, products, and placement, and a bit of luck. Organisers, we're begging you, please fix the layout, support artists better, and curate your audiences. So here's the TLDR. Game Expo. Low overheads, promising future, great if you're a local or game themed. The staff care, the feedback loop is there, and it's growing fast. Supanova Melbourne. A high profile con that's stuck in its own logistics. Unless they can overhaul the venue and artist alley layout, these days it's not really worth the stress or cost. And to any convention goers watching, this is what goes into just showing up for a con: booth fees, rideshare nightmares, food costs, prep time, setup. Artists have to make a lot just to cover their expenses, let alone walk away with profit. If you learned something, hit that like, drop a comment and subscribe. More convention breakdowns are coming. Sydney, Perth, who knows? But we're going deep. Stay creative, stay captivated. I'll see you in the next con.